It just seems like the NASCAR news cycle will not slow down in 2022. It has been full throttle. Pun highly intended there. Yes, NASCAR news has been insane the past few months for good reasons and bad reasons. Kyle Busch, his free agency. Where's he going to go? He ends up going to RCR. Big shock there. Then you had, of course, Kurt Busch's injury, his future. You had, questions with the next gen car safety. And there's been so much news. We could go through every single topic. But the fact of the matter is, we're not going to talk about all those topics today. We're going to talk about this topic, which was dropped literally minutes before the race. Yes, literally minutes before the engines were fired at Las Vegas Motor Speedway yesterday. Jenna Fryer and Bob Pockrass reported something about what Gene Haas, co-owner of Stewart-Haas Racing, had to say about his team's future. I'm assuming he was asked, what is your team's future, drivers, that kind of thing. The main focus, I think, was on the 41 car, but he actually opened up on a lot more than that. Here's what Fryer had to say. Gene Haas on PreRace Grid says he'd like to give Cole Custer another year to prove himself, but Tony Stewart prefers Ryan Preece, and they've got to carefully consider who they put in the car because he anticipates losing Harvick and Almirola at the end of 2023. Ford says with certainty that Hailie Deegan will be racing something next season. They are just seeking the best fit for her. To clarify on Harvick, Haas says Harvick has indicated he does not want to continue past his current contract, but SHR would love to keep him. Bob Pockrass said Gene Haas on the grid said he wants Cole Custer to return to the 41 next year, but Tony Stewart wants to give Ryan Preece a shot, so TBD for 2023. Haas also said Kevin Harvick has indicated he won't return after 2023. His deal is up, but Haas trying to convince him to do an extension. That is massive, massive, massive news in the NASCAR world. The 41 car being in question, that's big news. Yes, SHR is still a big team. Half their cars made the playoffs this year. They have 3 wins this year. But they aren't quite the championship contender they used to be. Yes, they still have a car in the round of 8 with Chase Briscoe, but they've fallen off a good bit since even 2020 when Harvick had 9 wins and was fighting for the championship. But this is going to be big open seats a big open seat at the 41, yes. But it seems like if Cole Custer gets the boot, it's pretty simple who goes in there. Ryan Preece. Preece was signed as a development driver or a reserve driver for SHR leading into 2022 after losing his ride at JTG Doherty last year. So it's, he's run some Xfinity races, some truck races, for some Ford teams that were set up through SHR. So he has been racing this year. He has not, made a lot of cup starts this year, but he has made a couple. And it has been heavily anticipated that the next opening at SHR, he would step in, whether that's Almirola retiring, Harvick retiring, or Custer potentially losing his ride. Ryan Preece would be the next guy in. So that's not really a big shock. I don't know if it's a conflict within SHR with Tony Stewart and Gene Haas, or if it's just they're trying to still, debate and, they have their reasons and they're just now in the beginning discussions of what to do with the car in 2023. So, if you want my opinion, it sucks, but I think Custer should be out. I don't think he's had a top 5 since his win in 2020. He's just struggled in that car a lot. I mean, he did it great in the Xfinity Series, but he just has not done great in the Cup Series. It sucks, but it's been 3 years, and I don't think he's finished top 20 in points. Well, that one year he made the playoffs, but he was a first-round elimination. So it sounds bad, but I think Custer should get the boot. I think Preece should get a shot in the 41. But the only complication is what comes next with the other 2 cars. Almirola, of course, retired and then unretired, and he is going to be racing in 2023 in the 10 car. But then the question is, if he stays long-term or if he retires again, who do you put in there? Do you put Preece in there? And then you have another situation, which is 2014 champion, your most successful driver, one of your most successful drivers in team history. His deal's up, and he wants to out. Does he want to retire? Does he want to go to a different team? I don't know. But Kevin Harvick leaving SHR is a huge deal. Harvick is 46. He turns 47 in December, so he is getting up there in age. So the question of retirement is not out of the question. Harvick, he's had a pretty good 2022. It took him a while, but he got a couple wins on the season. He was eliminated in the first round of the playoffs, which was a little bit shocking. But, Harvick is still on top of his game. He's still winning races. He's still making the playoffs consistently, and he's still looking good. So, Harvick, if he wants to go out still winning, and if he wants to go out, he doesn't want to have a drop-off, kind of like Jimmy Johnson had, like Tony Stewart had, and he wants to go out still winning, next year would be the time. But it is a huge deal. It's a huge question mark if Kevin Harvick leaves the sport, and that's really almost going to be the end of an era. You look at since 2015, that's when all the retirements started. Jeff Gordon was the first to go in 2015. Then we saw Tony Stewart and Carl Edwards in 2016. 2017, we saw Dale Earnhardt Jr. retire. Did anyone retire in 18? 18, 19. 2020, Jimmy Johnson retired. And now we have Kurt Busch retiring from full-time racing, at least for the time being. And if Kevin Harvick were to be next, that truly would be the end of an era. You still got Kyle Busch in there, yes, but it's just absolutely wild, the thought of Kevin Harvick retiring or going to another team. He's only been with 2 teams his whole career, Richard Childress Racing and Stewart-Haas Racing. More of the success came on the Stewart-Haas Racing end of things. He won a championship in his first year with Stewart-Haas Racing. He's won a ton of races for them. He's made it to multiple Final Fours with them. Kevin Harvick is arguably the most successful driver in Stewart-Haas Racing history, and losing him would be a big deal. The question would be who replaces him. It seems like Ryan Preece is going to be in the 41 right now. That's what, in my opinion, is going to happen. So the 4-car... Do you pull Hailie Deegan up? I don't think so. Deegan had an amazing Xfinity Series debut. She finished 13th, ran top 15, top 20 all day on pure speed. So she did very, very good in her Xfinity debut, but that is one race. We cannot base it off of one race. I think she needs more time in the Xfinity Series. I don't think the Truck Series is the place for her. That's nothing against her. It's just the Truck Series is so much different. It just does not seem to suit her driving style. So I think put her in Xfinity for a year, see how she does. If she goes and tears it up like Ty Gibbs has been doing in Xfinity, all right, maybe pull her up. But I think she still needs a few more years of development to A, develop, and B, prove herself in order to get to the Cup Series. So then the question would be, who replaces Kevin Harvick if he does either go to another team or if he retires at the end of 2023? Do you stay within Ford? Do you even stay within SHR? Riley Herbst, I really don't see him as an option. Looking at other Ford drivers, I'm trying to think here. Maybe Zane Smith. Zane Smith has been killing it in the Truck Series. If he goes, up into the Xfinity Series, if he does really good there, maybe bring him up. But there's a lot of question marks right now at Stewart-Haas Racing. Will Kevin Harvick retire? Or is he definitely gone after 2023? Can Gene Haas and Tony Stewart convince him to stay for at least one more year? What is Kevin Harvick's plan? Harvick has not made any statements himself. We don't know what his long-term plans are. We don't know what he's doing, but he's going to be 47 next year. He's got 2 young kids, one of them who has a driving career, Keelan. And, he might just want to spend time with them. He might want to step away from racing and be with his family. Kevin Harvick, he's had a very, very successful career. He's a Cup Series champion. He has 60 career wins. He's done a lot in the NASCAR Cup Series. So, if you want my opinion, I wouldn't be shocked if he retired. I'd be a little bit shocked if he left SHR, like literally just left for another team. But it could end up being like the Kyle Busch saga all over again. Not necessarily with sponsorship, but, where's he going to go? Is he going to go back to SH or back to RCR? Is he going to go to Colleague? Is he going to go? I don't know. But Kevin Harvick, that's a big, big deal. We will see how that all turns out. We'll see how the 41 turns out. If you want my predictions now, I think Preece takes the 41 next year. Almirola stays in the 10. Who's going to replace Harvick? I got a lot of time to figure that out. I have no clue, but if Custer stays in the 41, the Preece will replace Harvick in the 4. But yeah, a big news bomb was dropped yesterday, right before the Cup Series race. Obviously, usually right when news comes out, I do videos on it right then and there, but the fact was there was a Cup race going on. But we did talk about some other things yesterday in the Cup race, and I anticipate news of Bubba Wallace's punishment for his crash yesterday to come tomorrow in the penalty report, so we will be talking about that for sure. Other than that, let me know your thoughts on Kevin Harvick. Is he going to retire? Is he going to stay with SHR? Is he going to leave SHR for another team? What do you think the fate of the 41 car is? What do you think? Do you think Eric Almirola, what's he going to do? So it'll be interesting to see what happens at SHR. It seems like it could be a rebuild coming. We saw this with Hendrick Motorsports. We saw Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Casey Kane, their whole lineup from 2015 retire. Then we saw Chase Elliott come in. Then we saw William Byron come in. Then we saw Alex Bowman. Then we saw Kyle Larson come to replace Jimmy Johnson. And there were some growing pains in there. 2018 and 2019 were very rough for Hendrick Motorsports. Hell, even 2017 was a rough year for Hendrick Motorsports. But since then, they've been the best team in NASCAR. A championship in 2020, a championship in 2021. All their drivers have multiple wins. All their drivers have had multiple win seasons. So rebuilds can work. Yes, you're going to have a couple bad years in there, but if you do it right, you let your young drivers develop, it can work out very well. Hendrick Motorsports has proved that. Another team that could have a rebuild coming up soon is JGR. Kyle Busch is out. Ty Gibbs is most likely coming in. Denny Hamlin's getting up there in age. Martin Truex Jr. is getting up there in age. You already have Christopher Bell in the seat, and he's already established himself as a Cup Series winner, a deep playoff contender, maybe a championship contender. So they've already got one guy developed. Ty Gibbs, how's he going to do? But you know, this rebuild thing, it can be a difficult process at first, but if SHR is patient, they take their time, it can work out for them. So that's my opinion on this whole thing. Let me know your thoughts on all the things I just talked about, and we will see you tomorrow for the penalty report.